It is the next day, and I'm going to get after the strawberries here. Now, as I said, I planted these about 5 years ago. In fact, exactly 5 years ago, because I went back and looked at some photos that I have. This was made out of scrap wood that I had in 2x4s. I primed it, I painted it, and then the interior I sprayed with that Flex Seal. So it's been about 5 years, but it has finally deteriorated to the point that I have to get these out of here. Now, back in January, I posted a video when I showed you I was cutting these back a little bit, sort of sprucing them up as we got into spring. And at that time, I never noticed that the actual box was deteriorating. In fact, on the top, it was not. I went back and looked at that video. Then the other day when I was looking at it, sure enough, it's splitting on the top and certainly at the bottom. It's just ready to fall out. So nothing I can do about that. Now, if these were what was called June bearing strawberries, meaning I would be getting berries now, May until about mid-July, I would just let it go, get all that flush of berries and then I would do it later on after that. However, these are ever-bearing strawberries. And I will get strawberries on these, believe it or not, all the way into October, maybe even November. We're in Southern California, so they just keep producing. So unfortunately, as good as these look now, they are in perfect condition. I am gonna have to just take them out of there. I got a few berries on here that I'm gonna pick, maybe about 2 or 3. I picked some the other day. They're not 100% ripe, but it's not gonna do any good to leave those in there. So what I'm gonna do is get the berries out of here. That's gonna be the hard part. And then just put them in this wagon back here. You can see a patch walking around. And then once I do that, that's the hard part. I'll bring in that new resin raised bed and replant them. First thing I have to do is I have to, after I pick the berries, I have to snip the water line. This is on a drip system. Now, the drip was put in 5 years ago. In fact, I'll put up a picture of that right now. And over time, as I've added more soil and the berries have grown and the straw mulch, it has been buried down in there for 5 years, basically. It's worked, no problem. They get water. However, to get that out, I will probably just snip along the edges of that and then maybe either pull it out. It can stay in there. I really don't care. It'd be nice if I could just pull the whole thing out because they go kind of in a pattern and just slip the whole thing out with the berries, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So I'll do my best, and I know these plants will have a little bit of a rough time for a few weeks, but hopefully they bounce back because so far the berries on here have been fantastic. So let's get started. So here is that strawberry box. My wife Joanne got it off of Amazon. I don't even know the brand. In fact, I looked at the instructions here. There's no brand name, so I'll try and get that for you and put it up because I was very impressed by this, putting it together. Everything snaps together. Of course, the box comes pretty flat. All these panels are separate. Went together very, very well. It does have the option, you can see here, if you put this in here for self-watering. That's not something I probably will do. I generally don't like to do that, only because if we do get, especially in August, we've been getting more and more rain, then, whatever you have in there, just simply a waterlog. So probably not going to do that option here. This is where the drain plug would be for, let's see if you can see that there. That's for if you get too much water to drain it off. I am going to utilize that though to fish up my drip irrigation in there, kind of like I have on the other one. So that should work quite well. Once that gets all set up, I will show that to you. Well, that went better than I thought. I think having the drip line in here that's been buried down in there actually helped. It acted almost like a zip line. You know, I'd pull on it and it would loosen the strawberries up. I got them up in clumps as best I can. Put them in the wagon right here. So the next order of business, I'll scoop out some of the soil in here that's still perfectly fine and put that in a bucket. Move this, move the new one into position, and then go from there. So as I showed, the wood box just totally broke apart when I started taking it out of the soil. In fact, there's not even a bottom to it anymore. So it was probably good that I did this, because I would imagine a couple more waterings in a few weeks, that thing would have just collapsed. So I'm glad that I got this going here. Well, I leveled this box out as best I can. Being that it's resin compared to the wood one I had, it's like probably 1/3 the weight, maybe not even that. So it really takes putting the soil in here and kind of leveling it out. That's why I put additional rocks in there as well. This took about 2 cubic feet of soil. I use raised bed soil. So that should tell you about how much you need. If I remember when I edit this video, I'll just show you the one that we used here. So you can look at that. It came from Amazon. I forget how much it was. My wife ended up getting it. It was like $70, $80, something like that. It feels real good. I mean, it's not obviously as sturdy as the wood one was, but once I get the strawberries in here, which I'm gonna do next, I think it'll work just fine, and it certainly won't rot. Well, I got all the strawberries in. Now this box is longer than the other one, but it's not as wide. And overall, I think I figured out it's about 50 cubic inches less in size, but that's fine. They all fit in here. So the next order of business is to weave in the drip line here and then put some straw in there. That's why they're called strawberries. And then I'll show you that when I'm all done. Well, the strawberries are all in, and I'm going to hope for the best. I went ahead and I weaved in the drip line. I'll be able to do that a little bit better when the strawberries pick up, perk up after I watered them. Put in the straw, of course, and I also put in that snail abatement stuff, those little slugs. One brand is called Sluggo. I use Garden Safe. I do find that helps a lot, because every once in a while we'll get these little slugs inside the strawberries. So that's all in. I do like the fact that this raised bed is higher than my other one was, so less stooping. You can set this up for self-watering. It's got a reservoir in the bottom, so you can fill the reservoir up with water. I don't like doing that. I find then if we get rain for some reason, we do, especially now we're getting more and more rain as we get to the end of the summer, it gets waterlogged. So I take the drain plug out of there, and what that allowed me to do was to fish up the existing drip line in there. I also put a little miniature valve on that drip line, and that way towards the end of the season, when they don't really need that much water, but the lawn and the raised bed does, because they're all on the same system, I can shut the water off to this and save water. So there you have it. Appreciate you watching another What Is Ken Up To. We saw me set up my raised bed. I did get my seeds, which is fantastic. I got them a few days ago. So once I get those seeds in, I'll show you that. I still have to build the tomato cages over there. I'll probably do that next week sometime, and I'll show you what those look like. So thank you again, and hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.